Can you take us through kind of the process of talking to Eli and how this came about, how long it took, all that?
Yeah, I mean, you go through the process. It happened pretty quick once we kind of got connected. Had an opportunity to visit with them on a couple occasions over the phone, a couple of times. Met in person a couple of times, and then just kind of worked through and saw that there was a alignment. And from there, I mean, obviously the opportunity to be here was awesome. Have an opportunity to get back into this league is something that we as a family really looked forward to. And once we got here, I mean, what a neat place. It's been just the people. I think that's been the biggest thing. Buildings are buildings and facilities are facilities. Everybody in this league has nice stuff. But when you get inside the building, I think that's what makes it different. The locker room, the personalities, the type of mentality that's been established here in this program. I think that's been really refreshing for me.
What have been your first impressions just of the locker room and the players who are already in place here?
Yeah, a lack of entitlement, I mean, a really tight-knit group. I think they work daily. You see guys, reaching across in regards to being a new guy coming in and how open everyone is. I think that's important, I mean, now we live in this age of the portal and we got some new portal guys that have come in, got some new high school kids that have come in. And to just see, the veterans and some of the leaders of the team, kind of bring those guys in, it's been really cool, to see, and it lends to, the success that's happened on the field. I mean, you see those things when you watch them on tape from a year ago. You see the tight knit group. You see those things in those tight games where you're able to pull it out. It's because they have trust and respect for each other, and I think that's really cool looking at it from the outside in.
I was talking yesterday how there's going to be some continuity, obviously, moving forward with this defense. How do you go about putting your fingerprint on things, but also keeping that continuity?
Sure. Obviously the mentality and the demeanor of each facet, whether it be offense, defense, or special teams, is controlled by the head coach, and he wants that to look a certain way. But things that we've done that have been in alignment. We've always been, kind of a havoc-style defense. Tried to create those negative plays. We've tried to do a good job against the run, which they've done here traditionally. And then, being situationally elite, those are the things that we've kind of done. And I think there's been alignment in regards to how he sees that side of the ball playing. And, those are the things that I think, the way we go about doing it may be a little differently. But, the foundation is very set here with the talent and some of the coaches that are still here. And so just being able to come alongside and complement, I think that's what's exciting about it.
A lot of starters from last season are off to the draft or out of eligibility. Does that almost help as a new coordinator coming in and, a lot of players kind of on the same?
No, I'd rather have all those guys still But no, it's always exciting see the opportunities, obviously with the combine going here in the next couple of days, to see the guys that have come in and sat in these chairs and now have an opportunity to play at the highest level is always cool. I think that also, where those people have now left, there's a vacuum of opportunity that's there available to the guys that have kind of worked and earned their role, I guess, to this point. The DNA is totally different this year, right? 23 was 23, 24, it's a new DNA. People have different roles, different opportunities, and I think that's what's exciting, and that's what's exciting about this spring opportunity today. Kind of day one of establishing what that looks like, what it feels like, and the new roles that people are going to try to move into. So it's always opportunities for growth, and that's kind of what's really cool about this.
What's been your process of trying to get to know these guys? Is it watching every down they play? Do you have one-on-one meetings with guys?
All of it, yes. So the first day we got here, made a point to sit down and visit with every guy on the defensive side of the ball, and sit down and just get to know them, right? Because that's what it's about. It's about, figuring people out, building that trust, because from trust comes respect. From respect, you can start building on that. So, I think it was really important to come in and get to know these people. Tell me about where you're from. Tell me about your family. What are your aspirations? What do you want out of this opportunity? And then obviously, with the rest of the staff, it's getting in there, watching the tape, analyzing the schematics of it, but also, looking at the talent and then the new players that are coming in. You're looking at, film from high school, whether it be high school or colleges, and trying to, put it all together. But it's been really neat. You meet with the guys and you kind of get a sense of that. But then you get out in the weight room and you see them move and you see them do things, with your live eye, and the coach's eye part of it takes over, and you can see that and you can feel that. And so, you start moving people into positions where you think they maybe can fit, schematically, and that's what it's about. You got 15 opportunities to get guys in position where they can be the most productive they can be with the skill set and where they're at in terms of their knowledge of the game. And so today's day one, so that's what's really cool.
During those conversations or getting to know these guys, have there been a handful of guys that kind of jump out that, like, hey, that's a guy these other guys will follow? That's
Yeah.
my guy.
I mean, yeah. I don't know about specific players. I think it's just been, buy-in in general, in regards to, this is where we're at. Or each individual, this is where I'm at individually in regards to my growth and my process. And being able to show them, through conversations, through watching on them on tape, hey, these are specific things that maybe fundamentally you can do. And that's what spring's about, right? It's not about scheme. It's about teaching the fundamentals and getting better at the fundamentals. And then, the scheme and the game planning, that'll come. There'll be time for that. But right now you have 15 opportunities to practice, to individually work in those opportunities to, get the most of your ability where you're at, and then, refine those things. And try to get the fits and try to find the best place for these guys in regards to where they are from a schematic standpoint, strengths and weaknesses, and that's kind of where we're at right now. So that's what, like I said, today's day one of that evaluation process.
I know it's a little early to talk specific scheme, but Eli mentioned yesterday making the switch with one of the edges to a joker role. Can you walk us through a little bit of just how
Sure.
that position operates and kind of what you look for with that?
Sure, yeah. So we have more of a traditional defensive end, that goes to the field, and then we have a guy that's more of a hybrid role, and that's kind of what we've been able to do. It lends to some multiplicity, but again, you always play to your strengths, and so of these opportunities in the spring, you try to figure out who can do what and put them in those positions. And so I think that having that opportunity at that position gives you some flexibility, maybe some guys that maybe aren't size parameters what you want, but maybe athletically can do some things. And if you have enough guys that can do that, then it makes sense to go down that road. But yeah, being able to differentiate the field end from the boundary end is just kind of a silo where we put guys, and then that's kind of a starting point, and then you kind of figure out where they fit from there.
Yesterday they mentioned that Jamarion Wayne was switching positions to corner.
Yeah.
That's like his second or third position
Yeah.
change. Was that something that was your idea? You mentioned trying to find the right fit for
Right.
people, or was that something he presented you with?
Yeah, I think everyone's constantly being evaluated in the program in regards to where they can bring value to the organization, and I think that when you look at those position moves, going into spring and then coming through spring, I mean, that's constant flux, right? Whether it be, position from defense to defense, whether it be safety to corner, corner to safety, linebacker to D-line, receiver to corner. I mean, those are the things that you do in the off season. And so I think that obviously a guy that's been in the program that shows some value, has some athleticism, it's about, trying to find pieces that can contribute, and maybe now that, spring is here, that you have those opportunities to look at them. So that, that's pretty common this time of the year, and that won't be the last of those probably.
You mentioned kind of getting together with Eli. How did you know him before this? What's the
Right.
connection?
Yeah, so we go back a ways. I was at Arkansas State on the way out with Coach Freeze, and then Eli was coming in with Gus. So that's the first time I met him. This was probably back in 2011. And so, being in the South and some of those recruiting areas, you'd meet people, you'd bump into people and those type of things. And we've had a casual relationship up until that point until it got to now. And so it's always been exciting, It's been really neat seeing, kind of that growth and what he's been able to do in a short period of time at this program. Obviously, knew what he did, at Appy State that one year, and then being at Boise, I'm a West Coast guy, so being able to see some of the things that he's been able to do in some of those stops, and being as productive as they have been, was something that you always kind of admired from afar. And so now excited to get an opportunity to work with him and kind of figure out, some of the ways that he's had success, and learn from that as a new head coach.
Does Missouri feel different from the last time you were coaching in
Well, yeah, that was a long time ago. Yeah, I haven't been actually. Miss V, she was at Central Missouri for that. I was there for 6 months. It was kind of wild, but yeah, it was 27 years ago, and drove through here. I recruited St. Louis at the time, so kind of knew Columbia and all that stuff. But yeah, obviously, this wasn't what it looked like 27 years ago. So yeah, it's always cool, to kind of see the growth and potential of places. And obviously, when you play in this league and the competitiveness of this league, it requires some of these things. And we're blessed to have a beautiful facility like this. But yeah, quite a bit's changed in that period of time.
Well, I'm going to ask you to go back further. Then, obviously, over the last few years, there have been some players come out of Hawaii and come here. So I'm curious. I don't know how long you lived there after you were born, but what was your intro to football, and what was football in Hawaii like at that time? Yeah, I mean, it's culturally it's important, right? It's a warrior background, warrior mindset, and it's much like the South in regards to you just grew up playing football, and my dad was a college basketball coach. Can't play hoops at all, horrible at it. So you kind of just do the things that you have some success doing, and so. But yeah, growing up on island, I mean, that's kind of what you did. It was, it was kind of, I wouldn't say mandated, but I mean, everybody does it, and it seems like from a background standpoint, it fit into the culture of the place. And so there's no, it's not a surprise the production that they've had in regards to, you look at per capita, NFL players, small, tiny island, small population base, but the amount of players that have been able to do it. And now you look even further west to the American Samoa, Tonga. You look at those guys coming over to the States and being able to pick up the game pretty quickly. I think that it goes back to that warrior ethos that our culture kind of is based on.
Anything else, Coach?
All right. Appreciate y'all.